That's illegal.
No, it's not illegal. Give me your IDs now.
What is the reason you're asking for the ID?
You got about 2 seconds before a window's getting busted out.
What's going on? What's going on?
I need you to identify yourself. One thing, you're back here on private property.
Okay, for
Right, so
what's the reason? What's the
yourself.
reason why you're trying to identify us?
Because you could be wanted.
Okay, but do you have a lawful reason for the stop? Do you have a reasonable articulable suspicion?
You gonna give me your IDs or not?
What crime do you suspect us of committing?
Give me your IDs now.
Do you suspect that there's a crime being committed?
Do you want to keep this window? Yes or no? Because I'm about to bust it out if you don't start giving me some IDs.
Okay, we're recording this. Oh,
Stop.
hey,
I will stop.
hold on.
Why
Can
are
we get a
you being
supervisor?
so violent? I need a supervisor.
Let's get a supervisor, please.
I need your supervisor, please.
Yourself.
I need your supervisor. I am very scared of you.
I am the supervisor.
Oh, do you have a supervisor that's over you?
No, not right now. There is not. No.
Oh my God.
Okay, can we get a sheriff out here, please?
I need a sheriff.
No, you don't need a sheriff. You're in the town of
Right,
Madison.
right.
You're gonna give me
The sheriff has jurisdiction here
no.
too.
Give me your IDs. Roll down the window now.
What is the reason?
I'm about to bust your window out. Give me your
Okay,
IDs.
that's illegal.
No, it's not illegal. Give me your IDs now.
What is the reason you're asking for the ID?
You got about 2 seconds before a window's getting busted out.
Can you tell us the reason?
I'm afraid to
please
put my,
please
I'm
don't
afraid
smash.
to put my hand down. Listen, I'm afraid to put my hand down because I don't want you to say that
Roll the window down. That's all.
The window's
It's
the
not
window's,
enough.
the window's cracked.
You can put your hand down there and roll the window down.
You can hear us, right?
I'm
Give
really
me your
scared of
ID.
you.
Give me your
We're
ID.
we're afraid of you.
You're gonna be real afraid. I'm gonna bust
I
this window out
already
and
am
drag you out
afraid.
the car.
Why?
For
Because
what
you don't
crime?
have
Why?
IDs, you could be wanted. I don't know who you are. You're on
Shit.
private property back here. Give me your ID.
Can you tell me what crime you suspect us of committing?
Cut the car off.
It's cold out.
Cut the car off.
It's cold.
One.
Please don't
Stop.
smash the window.
Please don't smash my window. I don't want to reach
Please
down.
stop. Please stop.
Stop.
What do you need?
What do you want? Are you?
Can you
help
help?
us?
Can you
Help
stop?
me, please.
What is going on?
Please, there's another somebody on your right. Can I tell him you
Is-
can't see?
Yeah,
He's blind.
Roll the window
I
down.
want
I'm
to
gonna
help.
bust it out.
What do I do?
okay, yeah, I'm just
Just
gonna
a second.
start
Can
involved.
I give you my? I'll show you my ID. Please
Fuck
don't break.
y'all's IDs. Now.
I don't have one.
I'm gonna get my ID
You
out.
got about 10
I'm getting my ID. It's in my back
You got
pocket.
about 10 seconds.
It's
This
in my
window's getting
pocket.
busted out.
It's
Get
in my
your ID
pocket.
out now.
It's in my pocket.
Get your ID out, sir.
I don't have one. I'm blind. I don't have a driver's
Blind doesn't have
license.
a driver's license.
You ain't got an ID at all?
No.
Well, give me,
I'd rather not hand it to you. I will
Give
show
me
you
the
my
ID.
ID. Come on, man.
give me the ID.
He's threatening to hurt you, so just do
Here,
what he says.
goddamn ID. I am terrified of you right now. Can you please step back?
He does not have an ID at all.
No.
Who
He's
is
blind. Why would he
Who
have
is
an ID?
Who is he?
Can I tell him who you are?
No.
Why do you need to know who he
You
is?
you can choose to remain silent.
For murder.
I'm going to choose to remain silent. I'm going to not talk to you anymore.
Alright. You're getting out of this vehicle now.
Mm-mm.
We're afraid. Can we get the sheriff out here, please?
No, you can't have
Well, you can call the sheriff. Put him on speaker.
How do I call the sheriff?
Just tell your phone to call whatever Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. Ask him to come
Call
out.
Rockingham County Sheriff's
What
Department.
kind of business is he looking for?
Oh, please, Siri.
Alright. Roll the window down.
Rockingham.
Roll the window down.
Why do you want the window down, sir?
And get out of the car. Or cut the car off and get out of the car.
Why do you want us out of the
I
car?
gave you my
Give me
ID.
more chances.
But I
alright?
gave you
I'm
my
busting the
ID.
window out, I'm gonna take you out of the car.
I'm calling the
Alright?
sheriff.
Why?
Understand that.
We don't. Yeah. Let's get the sheriff on the phone because we don't feel safe with you here.
Hi, is this the sheriff's department?
Open the door.
I need help.
Open the
We
door.
have we're in Madison, in the town of Madison. We have people that are threatening to smash our window. They're saying they're police, but they're not telling us that there's a crime. They're threatening to throw us out of the car.
Do you know where you are?
Where you know what the address is here? Sir?
Huh?
We're on the phone with the sheriff's
you know what
office.
the address is here?
The sheriff's office has been hearing all this over the radio. We're all connected
okay,
to
okay.
the same radio.
We need a supervisor here because
Close down the window.
what you're
Help
doing
us,
is
please.
illegal, sir. What you're
It's
doing
not illegal.
Yes,
I'm
it is.
behind.
It's not.
Madison United Methodist Church in Madison. Can you send a sheriff out here, please?
Any unit near the Madison church with a vehicle.
Please help me. He's threatening to smash my window. Please help me.
Copy. You got a party advising they are in distress, needing assistance. What kind of vehicle are you in?
I'm in a van.
This-
It's going to be the party in the van, and they're claiming that an officer
Open
is
the door
asking
now.
them to roll the window down.
Can you tell us why you want us to want the door open?
Cut the car off, open the door.
Ma'am, is it a uniformed officer?
Yes.
He looks like a uniform, but he's being really mean.
Open
He's-
the door.
Okay, ma'am, it's a uniformed officer. What's the name of the church?
Madison United Methodist. But
He's threatening.
I'm sorry, what is the name of the church you're in front of, ma'am?
it's
Get out of the car.
Madison United Methodist Church in Madison.
Defining Madison United
And
Methodist.
I'm-
No, the name of the road.
I don't know why he's threatening violence.
Because
If
you're not listening to what I'm
complying,
telling you
then
to
that's
do.
probably why.
He hasn't stated any crime or reason for
You're on
stopping.
private property.
What's the
That's
crime?
trespassing.
We were on the way out when you
was
stopped us.
leaving. Can I show him? I was trying to help him.
You know whose property it is? You know
I-
who this belongs to.
Or he's gonna
You
break
do
it
not,
out.
do you?
I'm not talking.
Trespassing.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to
No,
this guy.
we're talking. You're trying to talk to them.
Stop. Stop. Please
Please
don't.
don't smash our window.
Please don't.
Why do you? Why?
Help. He's going to break my window.
Ma'am.
Yes,
I've
sir.
got you on the line, ma'am. Listen
Yes,
to
sir.
me.
I'm listening to you, Sheriff's Department.
Roll your window down. Comply with the
We're afraid he's gonna hurt us. He's threatening violence. We don't feel safe.
I don't want him to hurt me. I don't want you to rip me out of the car. I'm terrified. Can you step away and let anyone else talk to me?
If you roll the window down.
Why do you want the
Can
window
you step
down?
back and let me talk to
Roll
anybody
down
else?
the window. We're telling you so we can talk to you.
We're listening. We can hear you.
We're not here to hurt you. We're recording. We're not here to hurt you. I promise. Okay? Man, just let open the window.
Ma'am, comply with the officer.
We're afraid. We're afraid. He's threatening violence
Why are you afraid?
because he's threatening to hurt our car, to destroy our property. We don't feel safe.
Stop.
This is your last chance.
I'm going to roll the window down.
Okay, fine.
Last chance.
Yeah.
Stop.
Down.
Please stop.
I can't push it.
Ma'am, if you'll comply by what the officer tells you.
What are you doing? We do not consent to any searches or seizures of our property. For what? What crime?
I was trying to leave.
We're trying to leave. How is that trespassing?
Why are you?
Please stop.
Step out of the way.
Okay, just do. Yeah. They're threatening violence.
I don't want to
So
throw my stuff on the ground. I don't want to throw all my money on the ground.
please don't touch me. Please. Okay. I'm trying to do something.
Let go of the
Please stop that. Disability coordinator.
Step out of the car,
Okay.
man. That's all you gotta do. Step out.
I have PTSD. I have multiple brain injuries. I'm blind. Okay. Do you have a disability coordinator, please? I need somebody to help me communicate because I do not feel safe. She doesn't feel safe. She's got disabilities. That's why this is hard for us to communicate what's going on. You understand that? I'm requesting.
We don't understand anything.
I'm requesting under the Americans with Disabilities that we have been talking. You don't have to be in our car. We don't consent to any searches.
If you're blind, how you know I'm in your car?
Okay.
Because I can hear you.
I wasn't talking. Sir, step out
I
of the
heard you
vehicle.
lean. I can feel you on my car,
All right,
man.
sir, step out of the car, please.
Is it with your legs or
What?
you're blind? Can you move your legs? Are you able to walk or anything? Or
What is going on?
Y'all being detained.
For what crime?
Trespassing.
How's that trespassing when we were leaving?
No, you were back here. And you were
We were literally here.
behind this business, so you need to
We
step
were
out
here
your legs.
playing Pokemon. We were playing Pokemon, and we were on our way out when she said his lights came on and she stopped. So how is that trespassing if we were leaving the property? Can somebody tell me that?
It's a private property.
The courtroom with Aaron from Breathe Free Academy. We had some hiccups at security. Them like trying to take all my stuff that the judge said I was allowed to have. And then prosecution called 3 witnesses. It was Keith Benfield, who's the primary attacker from the stop on the 21st. He's the guy that was threatening to smash the window out some 20 to 25 times. So that guy was called. Then prosecution played a video. He claimed it was our video, like from inside the van. We couldn't verify that. We don't know where he got it, what his source was. We couldn't verify whether or not he edited it. It sounded like he did because it stopped halfway through. So I don't know if it was edited or if he just stopped, he didn't play the entire video. There's objection to that. It was overruled, of course. Basically, anything that the defense objected to or made a motion to, the judge sided with prosecution, right? So there's cross-examination on that. The defense played a portion of the dash cam video showing the initial, stop, and then the body cam from Benfield's perspective, and then questioned Benfield. And then prosecution called Kyle Ray as the tipster, the guy that supposedly flagged down Benfield to let him know, hey, there's a suspicious van that's been sitting there 5 minutes. And what else? The third witness that was called was Clayton Doss, is another guy that works at the Madison Police Department. He said that he was on scene, and yeah, so that was it. There's a little bit of cross-examination. All 3 witnesses, that's the only witnesses that were called. It's the only 3 witnesses that gave testimony from the stand. The prosecution seemed to give testimony from his spot, and so did the judge. And all 3 witnesses confirmed that they saw no specific objective facts that a crime was being committed. All they saw was a van visible from the road, parked behind a church in the church parking lot. Those are the facts, right? Those are the facts that they testified to. The ones that are specific and important to the case. They didn't say anything other than that, as far as them seeing any elements of a crime, right? The videos again didn't show elements of a crime, and nobody stopped the videos and said, okay, is this this is where he did this, which was the crime, or this is where he did this. This is this element of the crime. None of those facts were pointed to, and none of those came out. So then, at the end of state's evidence, defense made a motion to dismiss based on the lack of, the prosecution didn't do his job. He didn't prove that there was facts warranting a guilty verdict. None of the elements were there. There was no finding of fact pointing to a guilty verdict, right? And then he made a legal argument. He introduced Brown v. Texas, which is a great case. He introduced, and that one has to do with the officers have to have RAS for it to be a valid stop. And if you don't have a valid stop, then the stuff after that is, invalid. So then you have consensual encounters. That one was Sinclair. It's a court case for North Carolina that talks about what's a consensual encounter, and if there's no RAS, then it's a consensual encounter. Prosecution agreed in his rebuttal to that, and his counter argument, that it was a consensual encounter between me and the officers, and that I could have walked away at any time, but instead I decided to communicate to my wife because I was concerned for her safety and didn't want her rights to be crushed or her to be attacked, and want to make sure that she moved in a safe manner and communicated her movements. And so that was his, he rebutted that me talking to my wife is me intervening and resisting. He testified, basically the prosecution gave testimony saying that I refused ID many times. He also said that I told my wife many times to not give ID, and those facts did not come out in the videos. They didn't support that, and the testimony didn't support that. So again, this is the prosecution alleging things that didn't come out in evidence. And then the judge echoed that, denied the motion to dismiss, then closing arguments were basically, for defense, it was about a repeat. For prosecution, he introduced Cortez, like U.S. v. Cortez, which is a really strong case for RAS, that you have to have RAS because that's what they found in that case, that they didn't. So the appellate court overturned the stop the bus from Cortez and said this wasn't valid because you didn't have RAS. So I don't know why he just gave us another case in support of us, but he didn't even mention it. He said, here's a case, it's Cortez. He just said the name, but he didn't mention any of the facts or anything of it. The second case he didn't name, and that one was Helen. So I got that one from my attorney, and that's the I think it's a North Carolina case. And that one, the only thing he referenced out of that and his legal argument was that it's okay for officers to make mistakes. So his closing argument, prosecution's closing argument, was basically, here's some case law. One of them actually supports the defense. He didn't argue that, but he didn't even say anything about it. What he said was, it's okay for officers to make mistakes. The defendant said many times, to his wife not to give ID, which again, that fact didn't come out. There was no evidence that showed that fact. Nobody had any testimony that was verified by anything. It was only basically the prosecution testifying to that, and there was no fact brought into evidence by the witnesses or the videos showing or supporting that claim by the prosecution. And then he said that I had a lack of basic respect for law enforcement, and that was it. That was his argument was that he said we need to find him guilty because he has a lack of basic respect for law enforcement. That was his claim, and then it's okay for police to make mistakes. So that seems like he's admitting that the cops made a mistake, and it's okay to punish people because of cops' mistakes. Because then he asked for punishment. He asked for finding a guilty and sentencing. And Chris Freeman was the quote judge in the case, and he basically echoed whatever the prosecutor said, and said that it would have been over easier without all the heartache but he said all through this that I turned a speck into a mountain. So again, that phrase "speck into a mountain" didn't come out in any of the facts. Nobody alluded to anything like that. So he's giving giving testimony from the bench, and it seems like he's alluding to everything after the arrest. All the different things that, he's got a letter of impeachment, a petition to impeach him sitting before the General Assembly right now.
But they reviewed everything, and the prosecution was trying to make the argument that basically they were conducting a lawful investigation, and he was obstructing it.
Never again.
His lawyer brought up case law showing that, that if there was no evidence of a crime, no objective fact of a crime, that it's a consensual interaction, and therefore he's free to flee the scene if he wanted to and not provide ID. And so then, there's a bunch of back and forth in different areas. I could review my notes, but he sentenced him guilty. And then they argued on sentencing. And before that, they played all the video. They played dash cam of showing up, rolling up to the scene, his dash cam. They took their video from the arrest and played it in court, but they edited it, which was interesting.
They edited?
They edited a part out. He could tell you which part, but tried to do an objection to that video, but it was overruled. And the defense was basically overruled at every turn, and the prosecution kind of, did their thing. And then they brought in the guy, the supposed tipster, Mr. Ray, Kyle Ray with the tobacco shop in Dollar General, who supposedly waved down Benfield, but there was no dash cam showing that or anything like that. And there wasn't even an incidents report. They tried to request it before. And
so did that witness appear in court today?
Yeah. Okay.
Did that individual testify?
Yes. So the tipster was on the stand, and Officer Benfield. And there's a bunch of inconsistencies throughout. Officer Benfield was saying that they rolled 40 or 50 yards before stopping. In the video, it was like 3 feet. Right. If that, maybe like a foot. Before he cut on his lights, and then they stopped immediately. That was pretty much it. Those two testimonies, and then they had Officer Dodds, I think it was his name, who I'm pretty sure is the one who was passing around the ban orders to some of it, and they were kind of cross-examining him, but Mike wasn't exactly happy that with all the cross-examination, he kind of wanted a bit more. And there's a
Well,
15-minute
sometimes
recess.
The attorney can read the judge's face and realize that the judge has had enough and
Yeah,
isn't going to listen to more.
that's probably what was going on.
Yeah,
And
and can make
they
it
already
worse.
wanted to convict him. You know, I think apparently this county has a 98% conviction rate. So.
Sure,
Well, of
I
course
can
it
imagine why.
Yeah.
Problem is, there was no crime.
Yeah.
So I'm
exactly.
not really sure about this conviction.
Yeah, exactly.
Zero crime. Zero.
And they admitted that.
And they admitted it.
And the testimony of the tipster said that there was no evidence of criminal activity. It just looks suspicious. He said that there's no one ever there on a Friday night after hours and stuff, and that's why he flagged him. And Officer Benfield admitted that there was no evidence of criminal activity. And so that kind of supports the case law on it being a consensual stop, which they could have technically fled, but then, you know, who knows how that would have gone.
The guilty verdict, in spite of having no facts supporting that and no legal argument supporting that. He just like, nope, you're guilty. And then he sentenced me to 12 months supervised probation, 10 days of community service, and said that I had to write an apology letter to all the officers involved. So, bada bing, bada boom. That's it in a nutshell. There's other things.